Welcome back to Romantasy Chaos HQ, the podcast. I'm Avery Harleston, and this is our 39-sentence chapter-by-chapter recap of Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Violet Sorrengail faces down her mother, convinces her sister to let her keep some books, gets a life-saving dragon scale vest, and a mixed bag of good and questionable advice from Mira, climbs a billion steps, meets the hottest man she's ever met, and watches her new friend fall to his death. Welcome to Conscription Day at Bisgayeth War College. Despite the rain, Violet does not die today, but only because she recites textbooks to calm her nerves while crossing the parapet and defends herself against Jack fucking Barlow using daggers and an encyclopedic knowledge of the Dragon Riders Codex. Violet's accomplishments and budding friendship with Rhiannon are overshadowed by Dane Atos's insistence that Violet flee the Riders Quadrant, yet somehow Violet is still attracted to him, all while realizing the quadrant is full of deadly threats, including challenges, dragons, and her new wing leader, Xaden Ryerson. Shocking death rolls, getting to know her new squad, learning about signets, discovering Dane's secret relationship with Amber Mavis, and that same misguided attraction to Dane Let Me Touch Your Face Atos mark Violet's first day in the Riders Quadrant. Paromish Griffin attacks in the Esben Mountains force Violet to use her scribe training during her first battle brief, but her encyclopedic knowledge is useless when she faces Imogen on the mat during assessment day and ends up with a broken arm. Dane tries to use Violet's broken arm to convince her to leave the Riders Quadrant, going so far as to insist that Nolan not mend it. Yet even under the influence of the good meds, Violet doesn't give in, which is excellent, because when she returns to the barracks, she has a letter from Mira and the Book of Brennan waiting for her. While hunting for poison, Violet stumbles onto a gathering of marked ones and finds compassions for their struggles before teaching Xaden, her lethal wing leader that she can't help but be attracted to, that she really is a violent little thing. While on breakfast duty, Violet serves up all sorts of specials for her weekly mat challengers, using class time to learn about Dragonkind and Professor Kaori's insights into Mira, Brennan, and Neolin. But her successful run on the mat looks like it's going to come to an end when her wing leader steps in to challenge her. Xaden schools Violet on how to hate flirt and take him down on the mat, and despite how hot it is, Violet continues her misguided attraction to Dane, while Dane continues his attempt to get her to leave the Riders Quadrant, revealing his lack of faith in her in the process. Violet and her squad have their first encounter with the Gauntlet, losing a squad mate in the process, but Violet's trip to the burn pit to appease Malik leads to some alone time with Xaden, who tells Violence that the right way isn't the only way. Dane tries yet again to get Violet to run to the scribes, but she refuses, making it up the gauntlet with her creative physical skills and codex knowledge, earning Xaden's admiration but making an enemy of Amber Mavis. Presentation gives Violet and her squad a glimpse of the 101 dragons willing to bond this year, including a tiny golden feathertail, eliminating 2 squad mates and teaching us about bonds and wards in the process. Threshing Day means avoiding dragons not meant for her, becoming a bodyguard to protect the golden dragon from Jack F. Barlow's plans to kill it, and catching the attention of Xaden and his terrifying blue dragon, Sigale. Violet makes cowardly Jack run away and knocks out Orin, but is about to succumb to Tynan when 2 mind-blowing things happen. Xaden takes a step, and a giant black dragon shows up to protect her, and apparently bond her in the process. Thanks to Terran's magical assistance, Violet makes it to the flight field, where she shocks the entire quadrant by reporting that she has bonded him and the little golden dragon, Andarna. Jealous, Jack F. Barlow tries to threaten Violet, but it's Dane Let Me Touch Your Face Atos who tries to boss her into choosing Andarna to avoid being tethered to Xaden through the mate bond between Terran and Sigale. But ultimately, Violet keeps both dragons, earning her a unique dragon relic and a kiss from Dane that turns out to be way less hot than she imagined. The morning after threshing reveals new alliances as Violet discovers the benefits of being bonded to Terran and the new role Xaden and his posse will play now that her life is tied to his, none of which helps the Silver One keep her seat on her dragon. A month after threshing, Violet's days include library duty, watching year mates manifest signets, and seeing firsthand what happens when that signet is an intrinsic signet, before having to fight for her life when the unbonded attack and Andarna stops time to save her. Xaden's shadows handle the unbonded before he and Violet have a serious discussion with their 3 dragons, discovering that Andarna is still a baby, and she channeled her gift directly to Violet, pausing time for a few moments. Using his shadows, Xaden once again takes justice into his own hands, assigning Liam as a bodyguard and calling for the execution of Amber Mavis, which sets off Dane Let Me Touch Your Face Atos, revealing that he would take Violet's memories without her consent, but doesn't have to, because Taryn shares a memory proving Amber's guilt, and she's executed by Dragonfire. Violet is on archives duty with Liam and discovers uncomfortable truths about the rebellion, the conscription of the marked ones into the Riders Quadrant, and the way leadership is hiding the truth about attacks on the front lines. Retrains Violet on the mat when Second Squad gets an eyeful of Garrick and Xaden sparring shirtless. But that rush is nothing compared to the feeling of having her dragons channeling to her, and Taryn and Sigale having sexy time without blocking her, all of which leads to Xaden discovering that Violet is astonishingly good at shielding and kissing. Now that Violet can wield, her magical training amps up, but it doesn't prepare her for facing Jack F. Barlow on the mat and having power forced into her. But thankfully, her brilliance and powdered oranges don't fail her, even when her body does. Xaden is done with Violet using poison to defend herself, so he takes over her training, supplying her with custom-made daggers and a writing assessment, along with some interesting conversations with General Sorengale and Colonel Atos about loyalties and feathertails. Squad Battle gives us a glimpse of the awesome signets wielded by Second Squad, and what it's like when Imogen and Violet team up to lead the squad in stealing the map from General Sorengale's office, not only winning Squad Battle, but impressing Xaden. As a reward for winning Squad Battle, Second Squad heads to Montserrat, where Violet reconnects with Mira and spends time with her family, while we learn some Venin lore and are surprised when Xaden shows up. Xaden and Dane are in a dick measuring contest. A battle strategy session led by Mira, when Xaden starts speaking and flirting into Violet's mind right before Mira scolds all three about their behavior, which only ends because the wards go down and Montserrat comes under attack, leading Xaden to kiss Violet in order to get her out of there. Xaden and Violet grow closer as she learns to talk back mind to mind and makes an effort to get to know Xaden, before he surprises her with a custom saddle just in time for war games, where Andarna stops time to save Liam, and a strike of Violet's lightning is responsible for taking down Jack F. Barlow. Violet struggles with the guilt of killing Jack, Dane's terrible attempt at consoling her, and Xaden's harsh reality check that she is the weapon, until Xaden shows up to her room to check on her, and things get heated. Violet and Xaden give in to their undeniable chemistry before he opens up about the scars on his back. And Violet gets her first wielding lesson from Carr, leading Taryn to question if he should get the wing leader, and Xaden to share his sexy mental highlight reel from the previous night. Violet's armoire takes a walk of shame after her night with Xaden, leading to tension while they unsuccessfully discuss their complex feelings, unpack cryptic messages from her father, fight their attraction to each other, manage the growing pressure of impending graduation, and navigate their wounds linked to the battle that took the life of her brother and his father. On reunification day, Violet and Xaden finally admit their feelings for each other and decide to give a romantic relationship a try, leading to sexy time that's abruptly brought to an end when they're called into formation because Navarre is under attack. False alarm, it's not an attack, it's war games, and Imogen, Liam, and Violet say goodbye to Second Squad as they join Xaden's headquarters squad headed to Athbean, which Dane doesn't like at all. Nearing Athbean, Violet makes a series of discoveries. First, magic feels different outside the wards. Second, Xaden is happier and more free among his friends. And third, he's been planning a meeting with Paromish Griffin Flyers. Violet can hardly believe her own mind when she discovers her father had tried to tell her the truth, that Venin are real, and Navarre has been hiding their existence for centuries. But it doesn't stop the feelings of betrayal when she learns Xaden and the Marked Ones had been working with Poromil to aid their defense, or her regret when she realizes that she inadvertently betrayed Xaden, and now they all may die. Violet, Xaden, and crew team up with the Griffin Flyers to defend the civilians of Ressen against the Venin and Wyvern, in a battle Melgren can't see because of their rebellion relics. But it's not without a cost as Soleil and Pule are lost, Day is killed, and Liam follows his dragon to meet Malik. Tyrion is injured when Violet battles a venin on his back, realizing that taking out the venin is the key to taking down the wyvern, so she wields her lightning, and with Andarna's ability to stop time, takes out another venin before falling. Nothing makes sense to Violet as venin poison floods her veins, but Xaden refuses to lose her, not that Tyrion would let him, so the crew flies to find someone who can help. Xaden is racked with guilt and regret over how he handled his relationship with Violet and the choices he made that led to Liam's death. But when Violet wakes up after 3 days, he watches this brilliant fucking woman put together the pieces that Arisha is being rebuilt and slowly remember the betrayal that led to their breakup, all of which is pushed to the side when Violet discovers that her brother, Brennan, is still alive. There you have it, all the relevant information from each chapter of Fourth Wing. Thanks for joining us, and be sure to follow so you can decode the Iron Flame epigraphs with us in 8 minutes or less. See you next time.
Remember, lore lovers, fantasy fanatics, and good girls, like, rate, review, subscribe, and share.